små grodorna ser lustiga att se.
Why do Swedish people dance around a giant eggplant on the longest day of the year? We're Oskar and Dan, and while you usually see us traveling around the world, today we're in the country where we grew up, Sweden, to celebrate what is often considered the unofficial Swedish national day, Midsommar. We're taking you to the north of Sweden to join a traditional celebration inside a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and we'll break down and explain this unique and often misunderstood tradition, even by Swedes. Sound good? Let's go. Hey guys, from Gothenburg Landvetter Airport, a place where a lot of our videos have started, but...
Have they?
Oh, quite a few. Anyway, today is the first time ever that a video is taking us to another place in Sweden, though, from here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we're flying quite far, almost as far as we can go from here, actually.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is pretty cool. We're bastard burgers. Because we're bastards.
So I've always kind of felt that flying within Sweden is like not really a thing, but I think it's like when you're from southern Sweden, everything is so close and you're kind of expected to either drive or take trains everywhere. So that's what I've always done. And the only like domestic route that I've ever taken in Sweden is Gothenburg, Stockholm, and vice versa. So this feels like a completely new realm of travel. Wow. How did we end up with an empty middle seat?
I paid for it with my own hard-earned money. Yeah, it was only $20, so worth it.
You know how they say how you get more emotional watching movies and that kind of stuff on flights because of the elevation? We're watching Drive to Survive and we're watching the final episode of last season, and I'm literally like almost in tears over sport, which just feels so freaking great. We didn't just come to the north of Sweden to celebrate Midsommar, we also stayed at one of the coolest hotels we've ever tried. But more on that in the next video.
Oh my god. Hello, we made it! Feels like home, Piteå.
Yeah, we're not going to Piteå this time. It's raining at the moment, so we're hoping we're getting better weather soon, but this is so cool. It feels like we've truly entered the Arctic. Sort of. It's so wild, like the airport is literally just in the forest.
Let's smell the air.
Oh.
Oh my god, this smells so good.
So context for this, whenever we land in Sweden, in Gothenburg, usually, like, we're always struck by how clean and fresh the air is. But this is another level, and it's just like, it's like the air is infused with pine trees.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wait.
Did I catch you at a bad time?
Not a lot of traffic up here. We were just saying it feels so healthy to be here. Like the air, closeness to nature.
Have we been here like 10 minutes? It's so funny. We haven't even left the airport.
Yeah, even the airport feels healthy.
Yeah.
Look at the water down here, how cool this looks. I was just, my money don't jiggle jiggle. It falls.
Okay, we made it to our home for the night, and someone is already at home. Our view of the city itself is not the prettiest, maybe. We have the city library right there, but look over there. That's the Luleå River. I want to go for a swim, like those people. Obviously, Midsommar is something that we've grown up celebrating, but I feel like, you know, as the years have kind of progressed on and you get older, you don't really partake that much anymore in like traditional Midsommar celebrations. So I wanted to like make this a real thing while we're up here.
So this is the town of Luleå, and look at this. How crazy is that?
That is wild.
It's 8:41 p.m. and I found myself thinking, damn, I wish we would have brought out sunglasses. Then I was like, what?
Even in the south of Sweden right now, it would be sort of this light at this hour, but I think in maybe an hour or two, we're gonna notice the difference. The sun is so high in the sky, it just fills me with joy and light. Good morning. We went to bed last night slightly after 11 p.m. and this is what it looked like at that time. And now we're heading to breakfast and we're really excited to get started today. And also, by the way, happy Midsummer.
We are heading to the Midsummer celebration. I just have to say, it's wild when you're like, we have such an idea of what Swedes are like from the big cities. Most of the time when we're here, we're in Gothenburg or Stockholm or in the south, where we generally feel people are really nice in Skåne compared to Gothenburg. But here, it's like shocking to us. We have to reprogram ourselves, our Swedish sides, to be so smiley and so nice because everyone else is so smiley and so nice. It's amazing to see that Swedes can be like this.
So we are heading to the old town of Luleå, which as opposed to like most European cities is not actually in the city center. It's like a completely separate part of town further up the river. First of all, it's like a really famous like wooden old town, so I'm excited to see that. But they also have one of the most famous, or one of the more famous Midsummer celebrations in Sweden. So I'm thinking it's gonna be quite, you know, authentic, cool. I mean, we're in the home country, so it feels weird to say authentic, but like not all Midsummer celebrations hit the same, if you know what I mean.
You don't.
Gammelstad, which literally means old town, isn't your typical old town in the traditional sense. It's actually what's known as a church town, a cluster of around 400 wooden cottages built around a central stone church. Back in the day, people from surrounding villages would travel here and stay overnight during church holidays to attend services. These church towns were once common across northern Sweden, but few have been as well preserved as Gammelstad just outside of Luleå. Most of it was likely built in the early 1600s, which helped it earn UNESCO World Heritage status. The cottages are still privately owned, but no one lives here permanently. That's why it usually feels a bit eerily deserted, but not on Midsummer Eve. Today, people come from all over Sweden and beyond to celebrate.
Okay, so we had to Google what the name of these flowers are in English because we weren't sure. They're syrener in Swedish, but lilacs apparently, and the smell of these flowers, whenever we land in Sweden in like early summer, we just run straight to a bush and just like take in all the scents. And the amazing thing is that in the south, these have already ballooned out and they're already past their prime. But up here in the north, they're in their prime right now, so even more. I think Dan is indulging a little too much today.
Yeah, don't call us crazy, but we're sharing one of these, which, so in Sweden there's this thing called punsrullar, right?
Eller dammsugare.
Yeah, dammsugare, which means like vacuum cleaner. I don't know why. It's a delicious marzipan-ish kind of thing. And they had a coffee version of that, which I've never seen before.
And we just started liking coffee like pretty much this year or like end of last year, so.
No, it's been longer than that. Interesting.
Spännande.
I've never had like a true coffee pastry before. Coffee pastries are not a thing, but I like it.
We're going up here for the celebration. It feels like we're in some old Swedish fairy tale or like movie from the 1950s or something. It's a really peaceful vibe. And look at this. Look, this is Sweden in a nutshell. If you know Astrid Lindgren, this is like pretty much every single story she ever wrote would take place in a place like this.
Contrary to popular belief, even among Swedes, there's no solid evidence that Midsummer was a pagan holiday. While the summer solstice was celebrated in pre-Christian Europe, the Midsummer traditions we know today are much more recent. June 24th was introduced as St. John's Day with the arrival of Christianity in Scandinavia between the 9th and 12th centuries. But the modern Swedish Midsummer likely came from Germany, and all links to St. John have long since faded. Interestingly though, in Denmark and Norway they still refer to it as Sankt Hans Dag, Hans being a shortened form of Johannes or John, but they don't celebrate it nearly as elaborately as the Swedes do. That's why things like dancing around a maypole and wearing flower crowns are so deeply associated with Sweden, and why even most Swedes imagine the tradition as ancient and uniquely Swedish, which is probably what inspired the Midsommar movie to depict the whole thing as a pagan cult with flower crowns and casual murder.
Okay, we are very bad Swedes because we've never actually made a wreath ourselves. So here comes trying to figure it out. So you start with one branch. Let's see, let's try to make it fit. And then we tie it with some metal wire. Dan is like really not into this idea.
Yeah,
for some
I'm
reason.
like, can someone do it for me? I'm gonna be such a bad parent in this regard.
Do it for the fun.
My cousin is like an expert at
She is.
making these.
But you know what
She
the
is
thing
not
is?
bad.
The thing is that with a lot of things in life, once you've started relying on someone else doing it for you, you never try doing it yourself. And then you don't realize that it's actually not that difficult.
Okay, but I need another piece of metal.
Okay. Let's fast forward to when we're done with this.
A little fun fact, Midsummer isn't the only holiday that blurs pagan and Christian roots. In Scandinavia, we still use the word Jul for Christmas, a throwback to the pagan festival Yule, as in
Make the Yuletide gay.
But for Easter, we follow the Latin and Hebrew roots with Påsk from Pesach or Passover, unlike English or German, which used Easter or Ostern, linked to the Germanic fertility goddess Eoster.
Okay, this is not easy, all right? I know it looks like a hot mess, like a bird built a nest on my head, but
That's part of the charm.
I think this is as good as we'll do.
Well, I'm very heavy in the front, which I don't know how that happened.
It looks like a cow. It's like the shape of a cowboy hat.
I feel like it's more like the weekend.
Actually, this could be like an album cover. See?
Because of the extreme difference in light and darkness between summer and winter in Scandinavia, Midsummer Eve has long been thought of as a magical night. People used to believe that herbs and plants were at their most powerful on this night, so they'd pick and save them for the rest of the year. It's also a night for love spells. One tradition that still survives is picking 7 different kinds of flowers, silently climbing over 7 fences, and placing the bouquet under your pillow. If you perform this ritual correctly, you will dream of the person you will marry.
Time for the frog.
Grodorna små, grodorna lustiga att se.
Grodorna små grodorna lustiga att se. Öron i svansarna av det. Kuakaka, kuakaka, kuakaka,
And now, the question on everyone's minds. Does the Midsummer pole actually symbolize a giant... You know what? Tragically, there's actually no real evidence of this. The maypole started out as just a plain pole, later becoming a cross, and the rings were likely added as decoration. But hey, let's not ruin the fun. One is allowed to dream, right?
All right, that was fun. That was pretty much it, though. I feel like
Don't come here just for that.
I mean-
don't come to the north of Sweden
just for that. No, I mean, we have been to better midsummer celebrations around Gothenburg, we feel, with like maybe 3 times as big maypole.
Does size matter? Maypole.
Well, to the earth, maybe not.
But to the spectator,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because it's more epic. Like the one we saw 2 years ago
Yeah.
was truly like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, now it was like,
Yeah, and there were like, I mean, there were some people here dressed in like traditional Swedish folk costumes, but there were so many at that celebration, and I feel like I would actually recommend people seeking that one out rather than this one.
After the celebration, we were ready for some ice baths and sauna time at one of the most unique hotels we've ever stayed at. Make sure to check out the next video to see that, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this glimpse into a beloved Swedish tradition, and maybe even learned something new, or at least found our silliness entertaining. Until next time, from our floating cabin, see you around the world.